welcome Hattiesburg, and a pleasant day to all our listeners. This is Abby, your host for Southern Miss Today on Southern Miss Radio. I'm here to bring you updates, news, and more from our community. To add to all the excitement today, we have Mississippi Moments with Robert Hartenfield and a news wrap with Nishra Nika to ensure you're up to date on all the hottest topics. And guess what? We have some very special guests for you, Keenan Walker and Mickey Stratos. You definitely want to stay tuned for what they have to share with us today. But before we jump into all the fun, here's a quick message from our sponsor. So hang tight, we'll be right back with more Southern Miss Today.
Sponsorship for Southern Miss Today comes from Mississippi Beverages. Mississippi Beverages provides water coolers, and coffee service throughout South Mississippi. Take half of your weight in pounds. That's how many ounces of water you need a day. Mississippi Beverages can help you reach that goal by delivering fresh water to your door. To get more information or to set up a cooler and water delivery, you can call Mississippi Beverages at 601-271-2420, or you can find them online.
Never completely ready to adopt a teen.
For late nights writing English papers.
For your teen's music taste.
For dinners, where they talk more on their phone than with you.
For the first time, they call you mom.
You're never completely ready to adopt a teen, and you can't imagine the reward.
To learn more about adopting a teen, visit adoptuskids.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. In campus news, today there will be a seminar on cybersecurity threats and emerging trends. The event is hosted by iTech and will have Greg Mallett from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency as a guest speaker. He will be sharing his expertise in the Department of Homeland Security and the latest on cybersecurity threats and emerging threats. The seminar will include a Q&A session for attendees to engage with the experts and better their understanding of current cyber challenges. The event will take place in the R.C. Cook University Union, Room B, this afternoon from 2 to 4 p.m. Also in campus news, there will be a National Coming Out Day lunch tomorrow. The Office of Community and Belonging will host this lunch to celebrate National Coming Out Day. They will be celebrating the privilege of everyone to live as their true self while still acknowledging the hardships of coming out. All LGBTQ+ and LGBTQ+ affirming faculty, staff, and students are encouraged to attend. There will be a sharing of anonymous coming out stories as well. If you are wanting to attend, visit the page for the event on the USM's calendar to fill out the registration. The event will be tomorrow, October 9th, from 12:15 to 1 in the Office of Community and Belonging. In Hattiesburg news, there was the city's second year hosting the event that promotes fire safety. The Community Outreach Safety Festival was held at Vernon Damer Park. There were numerous numbers of fire departments from Hattiesburg, including Forest and Lamar counties. During the event, firefighters handed out free smoke detectors and hosted safety displays and demonstrations. This event also gave attention to the upcoming National Lead Poisoning Prevention Week that runs October 20th through October 26th. In Mississippi news, Central Mississippi Down Syndrome Society held their 2024 Buddy Walk on October 5th at Trustmark Park in Pearl, Mississippi. Over 1,500 people attended this event annually to form teams in honor of children with developmental disabilities. The event also includes games, lunch, entertainment, and a basket raffle. There have been over 300 walks since 1995, as well as raising $12 million worldwide. In national news, Dolly Parton donated over $1 million towards Hurricane Helene relief. The Southeast is still in major devastation due to the hurricane. The death toll is still climbing to over 220, as well as hundreds of people still missing. She returned to her roots in Appalachia in order to volunteer and assist in relief efforts. Hurricane Milton has reached Category 4. Florida is yet again evacuating after just being hit by Hurricane Helene. Milton is heading for Florida with winds up to 145 miles per hour. It is expected to hit directly on Tampa Bay. The people of Florida have been told to prepare for the state's largest evacuation. That's your news update from Southern Miss Today. Next, we'll have the latest in sports and weather, so stay tuned. We'll be back after a word from our sponsors.
Sponsorship for Southern Miss Today comes from Mississippi Beverages. Mississippi Beverages provides water coolers, and coffee service throughout South Mississippi. Take half of your weight in pounds. That's how many ounces of water you need a day. Mississippi Beverages can help you reach that goal by delivering fresh water to your door. To get more information or to set up a cooler and water delivery, you can call Mississippi Beverages at 601-271-2420, or you can find them online.
Melissa from Michigan. I work an extra part-time job serving lunch at my child's school, but I still can't afford to put food on our table.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back with our action-packed sports segment. Let's dive into the latest scores, highlights, and sports. Get your jerseys on because it's game time. Our next football game will be against the University of Louisiana Monroe this Saturday, October 12th at the Malone Stadium. Go Eagles! On Thursday, October 10th, the women's soccer team will be playing against Marshall University. On Thursday and Friday at 6 p.m., the women's volleyball team will be playing against the Raging Cajuns at the University of Lafayette. Head to southernmiss.com to keep up with all the Golden Eagle sports activities. As for our weather today, look for a low of 57 with a low chance of rain and a high of 82. The feels like for today is about 73 degrees. Tomorrow, look for a low of 57 and a high of 85 with a low chance of rain. Tomorrow's feels like is 57 to 85 degrees. Up next, we have Mississippi Moments produced by the Center of Oral History and Cultural Heritage with Robert Hartenfield. Check it out.
This is Mississippi Moments, produced by the Center for Oral History and Cultural Heritage at the University of Southern Mississippi and supported by the Mississippi Humanities Council. I'm Bill Ellison. In 1983, Robert Hartenfield came to Long Beach, Mississippi to help establish a new Lutheran congregation. He describes the anxiety of being a Yankee in the Deep South and falling in love with the Gulf Coast.
When I came to Long Beach, Mississippi, there was no congregation. And I was called by the Division of Outreach to be the pastor-developer until such time as the congregation was ready to organize. I was given the option of going to Florida, but the director of outreach for our region asked me if I would consider Mississippi, and we came and looked, and I fell in love with the Gulf Coast. But I also came with fear and trepidation because the Old South was going to be something different to a Lutheran than what the North was, where we have Lutherans all over the place. And I remember being told if you can find 6 families that will become Lutheran in the first year, we'll consider that a success. Well, fortunately, there were a number of families in Mississippi that wanted a Lutheran congregation. And within a month, we had 30 people gathered that started to worship together.
Bill Ellison hosts Voices of Our People World War II, a new podcast from Mississippi Moments, sponsored by the Mississippi Humanities Council. That's Voices of Our People World War II, wherever you get your podcasts.
Now please give a warm Golden Eagle welcome to Keenan Walker and Mickey Stratos. How are you?
Well. Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Can you tell us about the mission of the Spectrum Center and give brief introductions of yourself, whichever way you want to do that? That was backwards, I apologize.
I'm Keenan Walker. I am the media coordinator for the Spectrum Center. I shouldn't have a question mark at the end of that. I've been involved with the center since it started in 2014. We started out as a resource and advocacy center for the LGBTQ plus community in the Pine Belt region, and we've just been growing ever since and have introduced some new programs for the community.
Yeah, and I'm Mickey Stratos. I'm the current president of the Spectrum Center. So now we're still a resource and advocacy center, but we also do a bit more in terms of community programming and direct action. We're trying to just be an all-inclusive, one-stop shop for the queer community here.
Okay, could you talk about the Spectrum Center's mission as a whole?
Yeah, so our official mission is to advocate and secure the full inclusion and empowerment of LGBT individuals in the Pine Belt through the provision of community support, direct action, and advocacy.
Okay. How do you see the role of the Spectrum Center in promoting inclusivity and diversity in the community?
I think for me, it's always about visibility. Like, no change is going to happen if we're all hiding in the shadows and not making our voices heard. So we are proud to be there roaring loudly.
Yes, for sure.
What are some unique challenges in the LGBTQ plus community faces in the community?
Well, on top of all of the regular challenges that Mississippians face, like rising costs of living and housing insecurity, LGBT folks are not as protected under the law, especially in Mississippi. So when it comes to discrimination of any kind, whether that's in your job, in housing, in education, there's extra hurdles to jump over because LGBT folks don't have the law on their side or the institutions on their side. So it's kind of a losing battle there in a lot of ways. And then, of course, LGBT folks are disproportionately affected by a lot of things: housing insecurity, job insecurity, mental health issues, substance abuse issues, all those things.
How does the Spectrum Center help address some, if not all, of those issues? Obviously, you can't address a whole bunch of them, but there's some that they can help with.
Yeah, well, like Keenan said, visibility is really important. It helps folks in the community who are in charge of these institutions and who hold government offices understand the unique issues that queer folks face and hopefully begin to address them on an institutional level. But then we also help in direct action. So we have a mutual aid fund, and we help folks by giving them just funding to either pay their rent or their utilities or to get medication. We also help by providing resources, so we keep a list of organizations, providers, etc. in the area that are LGBT affirming or LGBT friendly. And so when folks are looking for a doctor or a therapist or a queer friendly realtor, we can point them in the right direction, so at least they have a little bit of ease when seeking out services.
Okay. How has media impacted the perception and acceptance of the LGBTQ community in the area?
I feel like our mostly social media presence has allowed us to grow faster than just regular word of mouth. It allows us to reach people outside of the region, but that comes with its equal amount of challenges. So if we're running ads, we're seeing an increased level of like hateful comments and negative reactions to some of our events. So we kind of have to stay on top of that so we aren't triggering other people when they see those comments.
Okay. It's very exciting for me when I see y'all's post pop up. It's me and my roommate will stalk a lot of it, and we're like, oh my god, yes. Like, we had the Second Chance prom last year that we had the drag queens at. That was my favorite thing ever, honestly. What are some of the most successful initiatives or programs that the Spectrum Center has organized that y'all are particularly proud of?
I think in the past few years, the development of our mutual aid fund has been one of our proudest achievements. We dispersed thousands of dollars last year and thousands more this year to help people avoid eviction or be able to fill their prescriptions, things like that. And the kind of burst of community programs that we've been doing in the past couple of years also has been really successful. We've been really proud of that. We do a queer book club and a queer night out, which we started this year, I believe. Just creating space for people to be themselves and to express themselves and to be able to go somewhere and enjoy something without worrying about, you know, being called a name or not being served or just getting weird looks. That's been really special to see.
Keenan, your role as media director, how do you ensure the Spectrum Center's message reaches the right audiences?
It's all about targeting. We are trying to make sure that our content appeals to the people that already follow us, but we run ads. So we're able to target specific areas and interest groups to make sure that we're reaching the right people. Sometimes that kind of targeting doesn't always work, so you may have to be a little bit more blind with your reach. And that's when monitoring the comments regularly comes into play.
Okay. What strategies do you use to navigate negative media coverage or misconceptions like you just mentioned about hateful comments and such?
I find it's best to not engage. People are often looking for something they can screenshot and turn into a bigger issue. We are very liberal with the ban button, so it's just about knowing when to engage. Sometimes people have legitimate concerns or complaints, and we as a board will communicate that with one another, come to the best plan of action, and then take that conversation offline.
Okay. Mickey, as president, how do you engage with other local organizations or leaders to collaborate on shared goals related to equality and social justice?
A lot of it is very case by case, but we have a network of folks in the area or organizations in the area that are LGBT friendly that regularly reach out to us for help, that we regularly reach out to for help. A lot of that is word of mouth and kind of knowing about each other through community events or mutual connections. But there are a lot of partners that we have, the AIDS Services Coalition, the Southeast Mississippi Rural Health Initiative. Various businesses in the area also help frequently through sponsorships, donations, providing pro bono services, things like that. It's been a very grassroots effort to build that network. So the past 10 years, it's taken us the past 10 years to get to where we are and have those connections. But luckily there are a good handful of organizations and businesses and folks in the area who are willing to help and ready when we ask.
Wonderful. What long-term vision do you have for the Spectrum Center's future?
Well, when we first started in 2014, our founder's long-term vision was to eventually open a shelter for LGBT individuals, short-term shelter for folks facing housing crises or whatever the issue is. So that's still on our long-term goal. It's taking longer than we initially thought it would, but it's still there. We also eventually would like to have a hand in passing a non-discrimination ordinance here in the city of Hattiesburg. We've been working on that for a few years, and hopefully we see that happen soon. And then just expanding our current offering, being able to increase the funding for our mutual aid fund and increase the things that we'll disperse funding for, providing more community programming, more opportunities for people to be themselves, and then more services that folks need and ask for.
Do you have any plan personally of making any of the visions a reality?
Well, a lot of it is dependent on funding. So the plan is apply for more grants, appeal to the community for donations, sponsorships, things like that. But some of it also depends on manpower. So we're an all-volunteer organization. Everybody from, myself to Keenan to anybody you ever see working at the center is a volunteer. So expanding that kind of group of staff or people who are around to help run things like the community programs and things like that is also a big goal for us.
Okay, thank you. What upcoming events do y'all have going on?
Well, it is Pride Week, so we had our cookout yesterday, and we are going into a Dressing for Your Identity workshop tonight. We have karaoke tomorrow. We're doing a fun little new Zen event called Good Vibrations on Thursday. We have our queer comedy show Friday. We have Pride in the Park, the Pride March, and the Pride After Party Saturday, and then we're doing a drag brunch Sunday.
Yes, drag queens. Sorry. Please, anybody that is, whether you are an ally or in the LGBTQ community, good Lord, please stop by. That sounds so fun, and I wish I was here to go to that, but I am not. Is there anything else you want to leave listeners with about the Spectrum Center?
I would like to say that we can't do this without your support, whether it is your time or your dollars. We're happy to take both. Sponsors like Mississippi Votes and Realty Star Network have come in and really helped save the day this year.
Yeah, individual donations just as important, and like I said, volunteer power is very important. So if you need some hours for school, if you just want to get engaged with the community, do a few things here and there, we're always looking for folks to help out. Engagement is really important. Just showing up to events, even if you're not there to volunteer, is also really important. We love to just see people in the building and be able to create a bigger and more connected community.
Awesome. Before we end off, could y'all let anyone who's listening know, like, the social media, any way they can find or reach you?
Yeah. So you can go to our website, which is tschberg.org. You can follow us on Instagram at TSC_Hberg on Instagram, and you will find all of our things there. And of course, the Spectrum Center on Facebook. For those of you who are still on it, you can find so much more information there because we can actually make events and put descriptions and links and all these wonderful things.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Keenan and Mickey, for coming in today and providing insight into what you do. Coming up, we've got Nishranika with Open Access Month.
For Southern Miss Student Media, I'm Nishranika. Open access is a big topic in academia now. For the folks who don't know, open access publications are publications that are generally freely available to all audiences. Open access articles are generally free and also copyright free, while authors still retain integrity over their work. Southern Miss Library is celebrating Open Access Month on October. Josh Cromwell, the scholarly communications manager of university libraries, started the month by looking at the past decade and what the library has done so far. The library started Open Access Month in 2014 and introduced people to the concept of open access. In 2015, they focused on how open access helped with scholarships with the help of graduate school and honors college. In 2016, they introduced Open Textbook Initiative and introduced open access across the university in 2017. They focused on differences in different disciplinaries in 2018 and publication models in 2019. Cromwell emphasized how 2020 was the year of COVID, and Library acknowledged how publishers silently admitted to profiting off of gatekeeping knowledge. In 2021, the difference in library access locally versus globally was acknowledged, and libraries shed light on how not everybody had the same privilege. In 2022, the library highlighted differences in attitude that tenured professors versus non-tenured professors could afford to have. In 2023, the library discussed finding open access articles. Some areas that can now be looked into in open access are how it would modify with the help of AI and the challenges that are present that can be acknowledged. Personally, open access has saved me at least hundreds of dollars in articles, so I'm all for it. For Southern Miss Student Media, I'm Nishanika.
Thank you for listening to Southern Miss Today on Southern Miss Radio. We are thankful for Justin Ware, our audio engineer, and Michaelin Williams, our film producer, for keeping this bird soaring. We especially want to thank our program director, Shania Williams, our executive producer, Owari, and our assistant producer, Adeline Fields, as well as our general manager, Dr. Martin. That's all on Southern Miss Radio. Thank you for listening. Remember, fly, eagle, fly. I'm your host, Abby Bouzagard, signing off. Stay creepy.
Sponsorship comes from Southern Beverage, your local Michelob Ultra distributor. Michelob Ultra has significantly fewer carbs and calories per serving if you are watching those in your diet. You can reach Southern Beverage by phone at 601-268-9111, or you can find them on the internet at southernbeverage.com. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri, and Southern Beverage ask you to please drink responsibly. Recognition for your business or product, appreciation from a dedicated audience, and establishing yourself as a caring member of the Hattiesburg community are only a few of the benefits of sponsoring programming on WUSM. In addition, our very cost-effective underwriting rates are tax-deductible. To learn more about the upsides of underwriting programming on WUSM, call 601-266-4